Okay, hey, today we're making meat pies, and I was going to show y'all how to do this. I've already cooked up the meat for the filling. This is 4 pounds of just lean ground meat, and I put about 3 onions in here with it. I try to saute the onion a little bit in butter first, and then I add the meat and cook it a little bit, and then add the spices. The spices is I use allspice and cinnamon and salt and pepper and well, that's it. And you can look at the recipe. We've got it on here as to amount, and you probably may have to adjust those amounts after you've got it all cooked. I taste it to see if it's salty enough. But this has already been cooked. If it has a lot of grease, you know, you may want to drain some of that, because sometimes it has a lot. I leave a little bit, so that's fine. But you may need to drain some. Okay, now I'm going to add leaven. This is 2 cups of leaven to the meat pie filling. And you need to not have the fire off. It needs to just be, turn the fire off and then put this in. This is what makes it really yummy, is the leaven. So that's a key ingredient for these meat pies. Okay. Okay, so this is what we've done. We've stirred in all the leaven into the meat filling, and so this is ready to go. This is what we're going to use to fill the meat pies. I'm going to let it cool a little bit here, and then we're going to put it in the fridge, because you want it cold when you go to fill the meat pies, or else it runs all over the dough and the dough won't crimp right. So you've got to have the filling solid so it won't get onto the dough as you're crimping. Okay, now we're going to start. I'm going to mix up the dough now. This is the dough for the meat pies. And I've already measured out. It's got 8 cups of flour. It's got a package of rapid rise yeast. I've got half a cup of sugar and a tablespoon of salt right here. And I'm going to mix that up together. Just kind of incorporate it into the flour. And then I kind of make a well in it like this, because now I'm going to mix my liquids, which this is 3 cups of water, and I get the water pretty hot. It's hotter than lukewarm, but it's not so hot that you can't tolerate it on your hand. But it's pretty hot, and then I have added a half a cup of oil. This is our liquids. And then I'm going to start. So what I do is I start pouring it gradually, and I work the dough with my hands to work that liquid into the flour. And this is just something you gotta, I can't really tell you. It's a matter of just doing it, and you gotta get your hands in it. Adding the liquid. Sometimes I stop for just a minute if I can't get it. But your whole goal is to get all that liquid incorporated into the flour, and you're gonna see it's gonna make a dough. It's kind of messy sometimes. Sometimes you may need to add a little more liquid. Hopefully we won't this time. It's a matter of just learning how to feel it. And this flour we use, I'm not sure if it's pre-sifted, so if it wasn't, we may have to add more liquid. Okay, so I've got it pretty well mixed together. Now I'm going to knead this, okay? And I try to get the stuff off my hands, and sometimes I have a little oil here measured out, and I'll just put a little of it on my, not a lot, just enough to kind of moisten my hands so it doesn't stick to my hands. And so the kneading, you just have to and I squish it together at first to make sure I've got everything kind of mixed in there. And then, again, people knead different ways. It's whatever, but it's the main thing is you're trying to get all of this mixed together, and you have to knead it to get it smooth.
This is what she does instead of working out.
Yes.
This is her gym.
This is how I get my muscle. And I like to put a little oil in the pan so it doesn't stick to the bottom. A little on this side, just with your hands. Don't pour it in here, just to moisten the side. Okay, and again, I'm just going to keep, and you fold it over. Some people just push. Okay, so I've been kneading this dough probably about 7 minutes or so. It's hard to tell an exact time, but and again, it's just a matter of just getting, you don't want to dig too hard. You can just fold it over. But when we started out, this was really lumpy. And so now it's gotten to a pretty smooth state. That's what you want it to be, pretty smooth. Okay? So I think this is about ready. It's got a nice feel, texture. It's not sticky, but it's not stiff. You don't want it too stiff, or it won't rise well, and it just won't be as easy to work with. So that's what it looks like. It's all ready to go. We're going to cover this, and then we're going to let it rise probably about, I would say about an hour and a half to let this rise. Okay, now I just took this, the dough has risen about an hour and a half, and I've already pinched off a few balls, but it's about, it's not double in size probably, but at least almost a half of, again, its size that it originally was. So this is what the dough looks like. I've pinched off, this is about the size of the balls we're gonna make. They're, I'd say walnut.
Hold one in your hand.
Size. That's about the size you want it to be for the meat pies, okay? I'm gonna do one right quick just so you can kind of, so I pinch off a piece of it, and then you wanna roll it into a nice kind of smooth little ball, like that. If it looks a little big, you can pinch some off. That one's a little bigger than the others, but it doesn't really matter. You know, you want them, yeah, that one is bigger. But that's the main, so I'm gonna pinch all these off and make balls this size, and then we're gonna let those rise another hour. And then we'll start making the meat pies. Okay, now we've let these, we rolled these out, and they rose for about 30 minutes. I'd said an hour, but 30 minutes is about all they need to rise. And so here they are. And now I'm fixing to make my first meat pie, and this is what you're gonna observe. So you're gonna take this dough, you don't roll it, you just pat it with your hands, get it nice and flat. About this size. And then you take about, this is the filling, it's cold. You want it cold so it's not runny. So we refrigerated that. So I take about a tablespoon of the filling and put it right in the middle, because you don't want it to get on the edges. Then you're gonna take the dough, and I usually start in the middle, and I just pinch it, pull it up and pinch it right there. And you wanna be careful, kind of pull on it so it doesn't touch the meat. And you kind of push this together. You're starting, you wanna form a ridge. Here's the other side. I'm gonna pull it out so the meat doesn't get on the edge. Out, out, out. So there is, before I crimp it, I'm gonna make a good ridge right here around the meat pie. Okay, so now you have the meat pie, it's filled, it's just sealed. You wanna seal that edge real good, because you don't want it to open up when you're frying it. So after you've got that sealed, then you're gonna crimp it. This is a tricky part, so it takes practice. I pinch it, and then I bend it over, and I pinch it again, and I bend it over, and I pinch it, and I bend it over, and I pinch, and you just do that all the way around. And that's what it looks like before you fry it. Here's another one. So we're gonna make about 6 of these, and then we're gonna fry them in one pan. So we've crimped several of them. They're all ready to fry. We've put grease in the pan. This is a large pan. It doesn't have to be this big, but you want it enough grease where they'll kind of float. I hope I've got enough in here. And it needs to be hot when you put it in, so it'll be bubbly like that when you first put them in. So we're gonna put in, I'm gonna see how many this pan will hold. You don't want too many. And these should start to kind of float. I'm gonna try 6. And in a minute, they should float up. Hopefully I've got enough oil in there. If not, I'll add more. And so we're gonna brown them on one side, and then we're gonna flip them over. And you'll see. Okay, so now these have been browning. They're about ready to flip over. You can kind of start to see that they're brown on the underside. So we're gonna flip it. There, that's pretty. Then we flip each one and let them cook just for a short time till they brown on the other side. Oh dear. Be careful, you don't want to burn yourself. Okay, now these are brown. This one looks like it's about ready. See, it's brown on that side. About the same amount. So what I'm going to do is, I get paper towels in a pan to put these in. I'm going to take them out, and I'm going to lay them in that pan. You need a paper towel for them to Drain on.